Welcome to Creators Blueprint.
Welcome back to Creators Blueprint, where we talk about unnecessary stuff in design. I'm Dennis, here joined by Oscar Lima Design and Robbie, aka Foul Matter. How are you guys?
It's Thursday.
What's up? We in the building. All good. Good vibes. Welcome to episode 14.
Episode 14 already.
We're gonna get to episode 20 soon. What are we gonna do for the big episode 20?
Big giveaway. Big giveaway. We're talking massive. We're
Like
talking
a scholarship.
Possibly.
Whoever's listening right now, you're getting a scholarship. Just DM us on Instagram, and we're gonna pay you $10,000 for this scholarship. For you to go to college, you just have to tell us where do you go to school, and what's your goal in life.
Yeah, exactly. And why do you need this money?
And then you'll get a whopping $10K.
Very ambitious goals, but
That's not all. Or you're also getting a Ferrari.
Ferrari or a Kia Soul. You guys can pick between whichever.
All right. So how are you guys?
All good. All good. Today we're back on schedule, recording on Thursdays, so that's always good. My boy here, Robert, aka Foul Matter. How are you?
Hanging in there. How's everybody?
Hanging in there. All right.
Hanging in there.
Yep.
I feel like we just recorded the other podcast like 3 days ago.
4 days ago.
True.
We
4
did.
days ago.
Imagine doing a podcast 2 times a week.
Nah, we need to get the views up. We need to get the comment section up. Because, like, right now, we're not seeing any love. But that's fine for now, I guess. But we should work on it, guys. I mean, if you are listening, at least, like, say something in the comment section so that we know.
Please subscribe to us because, like, it looks kind of dry right now. We only have 7 subscribers. You know what we should
But
do?
those 7 matter. And, you know, like, thank you for subscribing.
Each subscription counts.
You know what we should do? We should put like a code in on this podcast, and then when we have like enough views, we go like, whoever listened to this podcast, no, not even whoever knows the code, just commented on or DM us, and then they get like a special prize.
We can.
It's like, let's say the code is Apple, and like here in I don't know 4 years or 3 years,
It's too
like
much.
they
many episodes
DM
behind.
us. And then they go like Apple, and we're like, oh my God, you win $3,000
Well, we just offered a scholarship.
or $10,000 scholarship.
Yeah. All right. So, first topic. Okay. So I have the unnecessary topic for today. So you guys heard about Tekashi 6ix9ine and his situation, how he's now at the stand, like he's in court right now. I guess just what people would say snitching on like everything that's happened while he was like part of the gang that he was a part of.
Define snitching.
Who's Tekashi?
Okay, so Tekashi 6ix9ine is a rapper from Bushwick, Brooklyn. Yeah, he's Mexican, and he.
I think he's Mexican, Puerto Rican, I think.
Yeah,
I think he's
something
just
like
Mexican.
that.
he's more seen as Mexican. I never heard the Puerto Rican, but basically, he made a music video with it's called 9 Trey Bloods, and his music video is called Gummo, right? And for this, he like paid one guy that was the head of 9 Trey Bloods, and he paid them to like bring a bunch of them for his music video, and then after that started the relationship with them, and so he basically was inducted into the gang as a blood, but he didn't have to get punched or anything, go through any of the process. All he had to do was fund them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he had to do. It got to the point to where I guess he stopped funding them, or maybe he stopped funding them, and basically there was some miscommunication. The gang started turning against him, and then they kidnapped him and shit like that. They like stole his jewelry. Long
They
story.
kidnapped him?
Yeah, like it was like so much stuff.
I heard the kidnapping was fake.
No, it was real apparently. I mean, they have a full video on it with a taxi cab, like camera dash cam, and the taxi cab going to a cop and like saying like, hey, this rapper 6ix9ine
Isn't it
got.
the kidnapping where he did like a radio interview right after, and he came into like the studio shook?
Yeah. But like, I just wanted to get your take on it, cause okay, so basically when he got in, and like got into, I guess when he got captured by the cops and everything, he was. It was determined that him and all these like gang members that were captured were going to go to jail for like life, cause they got caught them for a RICO case, right?
What's RICO?
It's like, damn, you ask me-
Racketeering?
Yeah, it's like a mafia type.
Yeah, like racketeering and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so RICO is Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization
Yeah.
Act.
Yep.
The Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, commonly referred as RICO, or the RICO Act, is a United States federal law that provides for extent criminal penalties and a civil cause of action for acts performed as part of an ongoing criminal organization.
So what does that include? Like money laundering?
there was
Yes.
there was a lot.
Drugs, trafficking.
So he funded all of their, like, let's say
Their enterprises.
There was robberies that
Yeah.
they did. There was
Pros-
drug dealing that they did.
So when he rapped, I be stealing, I be robbing, I be looting. Like
he was
that
really,
was no
he
cap.
really he really had people doing
That
it. He
was-
wasn't doing it, but he was in
He
a
had
crowd
people.
of people that were
He
doing
had
it.
people in his
Yeah.
confidence that were doing said actions.
Mhm. So when he was captured again with all these like blood gang members, he was gonna get 49 years in jail.
Right.
Jail
right.
time,
Yep,
right? It was
yep.
said that he was gonna do that, but he had a plea deal where if he answered all of the questions that I guess the court had about the gang, and like the gang has been an ongoing thing with this gang called Nine Trey, and so they've been investigated for years and years. And so here comes Takashi, where he's been with them like only a year, but he's been in the loop for a while. So they made a deal with him where if he was to answer every single question they were gonna throw at him, that he would get out after a year of time sentence, which means he would get out of jail by 2020, beginning of 2020.
Holy
like
shit.
like January 1st.
So
Yeah.
in like 3 months.
Yeah. So that's the deal, and he took it, and like so once he got
Wow.
in, a day after he started talking.
So that's what he's gonna do. So come New Year's, he's gonna be released.
If I guess the judge and
Has
everybody
determined.
determined
So
that
he can
did what
still be
he-
found guilty of the maximum sentence, though.
He can, but he's been obeying everything.
He's been cooperating. So
cooperating,
it's
yeah.
unlikely that would happen.
So my question to you guys is, I don't know how familiar you are with him, but like, what do you think about that? You know, like you're definitely familiar with him and how he would be in his rap songs. He would be testing people. He would be trying to get people to get angry. He would be telling people to do stuff like, suck my, and he would be like, fuck you and your dead brother, stuff like that. And what do you guys think of? Like,
Well, I
do you
think
feel for him? Would you do what he's doing?
I think actually for those of you who know Anthony Fantano, aka the Needle Drop, he made a good video talking about of Tekashi and his influence over music in the past 2 years or so that he's kind of blown up, and a lot of it has got to do with his social media presence. I mean, his viral nature. I mean, the memes. It's like when he was, even to a degree right now, even when he's in jail, but when he was still out making music, it's like there would be a new meme of him every other day, you know? So he had a very strong social media presence, and you know, he was just very active, right? And he engaged with the social media base and his fans, you know, regularly. And he just kind of engaged with the audience a lot, and he would cater to that meme culture, you know, meanwhile releasing music that, you know, a lot of people received positively. So here was a very young you know, artist that was really blowing up. I mean, at his height, I don't know because he's been in jail for like almost a year now, right?
A year, yeah.
So, at his height where he was making music, he was, he had a collaboration with Nicki Minaj. Who else did he collaborate with that was
Kanye.
prominent? Kanye.
But
So he was definitely up there, right, in terms of relevance. So
okay, just to tap into that, like Takashi was relevant alone without Nicki Minaj and Kanye.
but those crossovers only helped him, right? Didn't he get on a track with like Anuel
I really
AA
don't.
too?
It didn't help.
I really don't think it helped him. He
It just
earned
helped.
it,
He helped
and
them.
No, if anything, yeah, because I think also, like, for example, Nicki Minaj,
She's washed.
she was more or less like on the last
gone.
heel of her career, maybe, to what some people would say. So I think a lot of people view her collaborating with 6ix9ine as a way to become relevant again. So I think it's interesting, that Takashi now could be the source of generating newfound relevancy for these other artists. Kanye, not so much because he's relevant anyways, but Nicki, I could definitely see that being a possibility as to why she did that. Yeah, I get that. But
no, yeah, but when
but the fact that they
6ix9ine,
designate he was the person that they said, okay, you know what, we got to get a track with him because he's gonna help me get back on top. Like the fact that it was him that they designated to be this person to collaborate with, I think that's says a lot about him at his height of his popularity or whatever.
But yeah, when 6ix9ine was out and he was doing whatever he was doing,
Right.
he was the king of trolling. He was going at
Exactly.
everybody.
Exactly. Yes. That's
He
true.
had no filter, and I didn't like his music, but he was a very entertaining guy to watch.
He was very entertaining.
He like you could see that he knew what he was doing in a way. He knew how to like control people
He
or like
knew
manipulate
how to
people.
cater to people's interests and what they wanted to see.
Every radio interview he went like through his music, he sounded like I don't know. I'm not into mumble rapping or whatever they were doing or they're doing.
I'm not sure if he could be considered mumble rap. It's more
they're
like
screaming.
scream rap. Yeah, if anything.
But
Very aggressive delivery.
You definitely saw an audience like catered to. I mean, hang on to him,
of course, yeah,
and
definitely.
elevated him to like I don't know, like he was like the pinnacle of whatever that era was. Do you consider him a SoundCloud rapper?
That's
no?
a good question.
I don't know where it started.
If he is a SoundCloud rapper, he definitely puts a different spin on SoundCloud
Yeah.
rap than other SoundCloud rappers because he has a different sound. I mean, he's going for this super like hyper aggressive delivery. Very. I mean, I don't think I need to describe it. Just listen to his songs and then you'll see. But what is interesting, I think what was the track that he did with Anuel, right? They showed singing, like he was actually singing, right?
That was like straight up auto-tune, bro.
Yeah, but the fact that he's not screaming for once, I think was interesting, and also the track with Nicki. I mean, he takes on a softer tone, so he started to show glimmers of versatility. He wasn't constantly screaming at his audience, but I think it was those hyper aggressive tracks that really kind of put him on the map to begin with.
And the crazy thing that like blew my mind is that during an interview he himself admitted that he doesn't like his own music. He just did it and it was just getting popular, so he was forced to listen to his own music. He was like, what the hell am I even doing? I'm just literally screaming on a track and I'm getting so many plays and people are liking it.
If you listen to a lot of people talk about, like, a lot of these SoundCloud generation rappers talk about their music, like Lil Pump, for example, like, yeah, I think he said also, like, yeah, he wasn't into rap to begin with. He just wanted to, like, make money or whatever, or just, like, get famous, so he just, hopped on a beat and just fucking started, rapping, if you want to call it that, and then he blew up. So I think it's interesting that, if not problematic, but at the very least, yeah, it's interesting to hear rappers talk about their own work in such a I don't know, casual way. I don't know. What do you think?
So like back to the main topic at hand. Like if you guys were in 6ix9ine's scenario, and like you kind of got a glimpse of what I said, like, and how he started with these guys and how he funded their stuff, their activities and everything. Would you rat out everything? Like, which would you take the plea deal?
Of course. Of course. First of all, I wouldn't be that stupid. Okay, so
I'm saying if you're in that whole scenario.
yeah, I would. I'll be snitching on everybody left and right.
The thing though is that if
How
he
about you,
does,
Rob? Just answer the question.
well, I want to elaborate on that
He's
because,
like, yes or no.
For example, if he takes a plea deal and let's say he gets out of jail and his testimonies or his information kind of pins the other members down and they get incarcerated. I mean, he's got to watch his back for the rest of his life, basically. He's always going to be kind of keeping one eye open behind his back to kind of watch out for people that might be trying to get him. Because he, like you said, he's
So
kind of giving them information.
Would you? Which one would you do?
So if it's either
Take the plea deal, 49 years in jail. Which one would you pick? Damn.
I'll take the I'll most likely possibly take the plea deal.
You'll be called a snitch, though. You're good with that?
It's
You're
not
a
even
rat.
about being called a
rat.
snitch. It's about you want to spend 49 years in prison. I mean, I think it depends on who you ask. I mean, and it depends on how important this is to you. I mean, I don't know what's going on in his head, but I'm sure he doesn't want to be in jail for 49 years. That's why he's taking the fucking plea deal.
It's interesting how this all came about because Tekashi at first he really like in multiple interviews he said he doesn't like his own music, but like what I read recently is that he found the formula to cater to the gangsters, and it was working, so he just went along with it, and that's why he started trolling left and right, and look where it got him, to jail. This is the first time ever somebody got famous off trolling. He trolled the gang members and trolled radio personalities, and apparently, look,
I think it went a bit too
God,
far.
like,
I mean,
he
look where
went.
he
He
is
didn't know
now.
when. He didn't know when to stop.
Overall, he's a funny dude. And he probably will be out next year, and he's expected to continue making music. So
But I
We'll
mean,
see what
he
happens.
definitely has to be careful because
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a hit on him once he.
Well, that's what
leaves
I'm saying.
jail.
Exactly. He has to be careful because obviously now there are probably people that are gonna want him, out of the picture.
Would you take the 49 years or just snitch on everybody left or right?
honestly, I would probably just snitch on everyone. Yeah, there's a backstory to it and how his own people kidnapped him, and when they, like you said, before he went to this interview at the Breakfast Club, he got kidnapped by his own people, and then they basically extorted him of his jewelry, like $41,000 worth of jewelry or something like that. And so if that happens to you, and there's voice recordings of them saying, or Tekashi's also saying that they said that we could just kill him right now if we wanted to. So either he was gonna pay them and get killed, or pay them and eventually get killed.
Yeah.
So obviously it's simple answer for you to just talk and just get your way out of there.
So yeah, apparently he said that Trippie Redd, Jim Jones, Cardi B were all in gangs. That Cardi B was a Blood, Jim Jones was I believe a Blood too, and he's just
He's routing
outing-
everything. Yeah,
outing everybody.
Because the thing is, his deal is that if they ask him anything that they ask, if he cooperates, then he'll be out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So he needs
He
to
just
answer.
and if he doesn't cooperate, and he starts to lie on things, then that's where he'll
they
just
find
be in
out
jail
that
for
he
long.
lied,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Are you
That's it.
dumb, 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 dumb,
Stupid.
stupid? So what's next, Mr. Oscar?
All right, what's next on our list of topics is we're going to talk about we're going to talk about adjusting after college to the real world, the 9-to-5 life, the freelancer life, the I just went to college for design, but I don't want to do design life. anything, whatever that is for you. We're going to just talk about, I guess we can each talk on what was our experience after college in finding a job and did we take time off and all that stuff?
Yeah, we should talk about our experiences. Are you okay?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm cool.
Let's talk about our experiences and what, and then I don't know,
All right.
advice.
So like leading up to like the, let's say, graduation, like what was running through your head?
Bro, me?
Yeah.
It was like, I was just happy. That's like the definition of happy. Like finishing your thesis project, and you're just finally done with college, just taking final after final. I was like, screw this, I'm off it. I was just feeling great. All that adrenaline rush, like, let's do this. That was the healthiest I've ever been, you know. Eating healthy, going to the gym.
Okay.
I was just in a great mindset. Just bumping all these upbeat music, you know, club music, Spanish music for the first time in a while.
So you were happy.
I was just happy.
Okay, how about you? Like, this is just, the question is, leading up to your graduation, what was running through your head? That's it. That's it.
Well, let's take a step back. So
It's gonna be like applying to college.
I mean, to be honest, like going back to that time, which was spring 2018 for me, because my program was 5 years, right? So I was there an extra year. So spring 2018, you know, everybody's trying to wrap up their thesis projects. So for like March and April, it was nothing but stress, right, and anxiety as the deadline approached, and you were just rushing to get everything done and kind of running around, and your head is in 1,000 different places. But once the thesis was done, whatever other classes I was taking, you know, wasn't really nearly as important. I got them out of the way. I finished them, whatever. And then graduation came. It was good. It felt surreal, right? It felt like it took a while for it to really set in. And so I definitely became very contemplative over the last 5 years, right? Kind of just looking back on everything and how I got into that point. But, you know, it was definitely time to be very excited for what the future held. But at the same time, you know, nervous because obviously you're about to embark on your professional career, you know, and you're going to start applying for full-time jobs and get onto that process. So definitely nervous, but in a good way, right? It's a good kind of nervous. It's the kind of nervous that you want to be, right? Excited for what the future holds and, you know, what your career, how your career will start and all that stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, it was you know, it was an exciting time for sure. Yeah, definitely exciting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me step back for me too, cause like during college, like the March April time, it was like the most I had in my plate in like a while.
Yeah.
I had like the thesis, all the other art history classes that we were taking. What else? I was also moving at the same time. My Saturdays had like this confirmation class that like I randomly signed up for church, and it was like my whole schedule was just filled. If it wasn't me in the studio working on my thesis, I would be packing boxes at my house ready to like, you know, start moving. So once everything just started to like simmer down, I saw like the end of the road, you know, like finals started coming up and all that, and I started to study. I felt more happy than nervous because I actually felt like we were getting freedom after all this time. I was excited for the next chapter, and yeah, it was a great feeling. Like I was more anxious to see how life would be after college than looking back at it. Or it was like my driving force.
Yeah.
That graduation.
Yeah, for me, like, you know, the number one thing in my head was like finding a job. Like, I think I started trying to apply for jobs, and I think the routine is to apply right after New Year's, because that's when companies tend to have like their budget for how much they can spend on new employees. And so around January is when I was working on thesis, but at the same time getting my portfolio ready, my resume ready, cover letters ready, and sending them out, interviewing with companies, not getting accepted to companies. And so, like, for me, I was very anxious and also very nervous for the fact that I didn't want to graduate and then not have something lined up. And so for me, it wasn't that, like, for me, graduation wasn't the success. I mean, it was cool, definitely super cool, but like for me, the success part came when I got a job and where it was cemented that I
Yeah.
have like a
Yeah,
daily
absolutely.
thing where it's like, because like college is fun and everything, but if you don't get hired for what you learned, it's pretty tough.
Your life is gonna get stressful
Yeah, it's
very
pretty tough.
quickly.
So
very
like for
quickly.
me, like that was literally the biggest thing in my head.
I think the magic of graduation season wears off pretty quickly once you start to really focus your attention on moving forward and actually, securing a
The
job.
magic of graduation season ends right after like the literal graduation. Now you're like, okay,
Not for some people, because some people have like graduation parties and stuff, so
Which
they
is
might,
cool, yeah.
because the thing is, like, graduation typically happens first or second week of May, and in between that and Memorial Day, you kind of have like a 2 to 3 week stretch where, you're kind of just really you're kind of like at a high, right? You're going to probably graduation parties. It's almost the start of summer, and you're probably
you're
just in
right,
all
you're
around
right.
a pretty good, euphoric mood. But yeah, I think.
I think it's after your graduation party, like your own graduation party. Right after
Yeah,
that, you're
for
like,
sure.
okay, now what do I do?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when I graduated, I did have a graduation party the weekend afterward, and
You did?
Should
yeah.
have invited
I'm
me.
kidding.
Wait, you were there.
I was there.
Should have
Fucker.
invited me.
You didn't come?
No, I wasn't invited.
I'm pretty sure you were invited, and
you
you
did.
just
No, I wasn't.
couldn't make it, I think. I'm
was
pretty
raining.
sure. Yeah, it was raining, but luckily we had some tents set up and we made it work. But
I was
yeah,
under the
so after the party, so I felt like really it was finally done, right? Because even after graduation, like the actual graduation day, I still had to worry about this party, right? And not even like that it was something to worry about, but rather, I was still in the graduation mode because this was an event for my graduation. So once the party concluded, I felt like the graduation period had concluded. So once that was done, then I really started to focus my attention more fully on getting my information out there for companies. Now, as to what you said about preparing your stuff earlier, like in the winter, that is absolutely a good idea. And I had started to do that. I was finalizing the portfolio that I would send out to companies, finalizing my portfolio and my cover letters. And there were several kind of like job fairs, career fairs at my school where a lot of people came, a lot of companies, and I got into contact with some companies and I applied. But the company that I work for now was actually not a company that was present at that career fair. But so
Okay.
don't let the fact that maybe if a company doesn't reach out to you that you talk to at the career fair, don't let it discourage you, because there's still several possibilities. Just start looking for jobs. Either if your school has like a professional job site with listings, or go on like just look for your career field on websites, and you're bound to come up with some results, and just send your stuff out, and you will find something. So
Have you guys ever like sent out like so many like cover letters and resumes catering to like certain companies? Your resume had like the company you were applying to, or the cover letter had the company you were applying to on it, and like there was so many that you sent out that by accident you switched up the names.
that happened once to me. Yes, that happened.
You sent the wrong name?
Yeah, it's like some design firm in New York, and I just like switched the names around by accident, and I looked back into the email, and it had the wrong company name. I was like, oh,
Did you get a
fucking
reply?
shit. No, I didn't get a reply.
They-
but like,
They replied to me saying, "Hello, we recently received your application for whatever position. However, we are not the company that had named. We're known as the company that they actually are." And then they said, "We wish you luck on your employment application process." And I was like, "Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
fucking
pretty much says it
insane.
all."
But like, yeah, overall the
little mistakes like that you can't make. You always got to catch those mistakes. Long
The
story
cover
short.
letter could be like could be a general cover letter that you just switch the company name and
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
other things.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be real. It's not realistic or even feasible to like write a unique cover letter for every single job that you want to apply to. So what you should do is you should try to find a balance between a cover letter that doesn't sound too generic, but odds are they probably assume that you're most likely going to be sending out the same cover letter to different companies with just the different, fields that matter, like the name and everything. So it's fine. I mean, they get it. But at the same time, don't make it sound too generic where it's just painfully obvious, Like maybe slip in a sentence or two about the specific company so that they show, you show that maybe you're actually at least paying a little bit of attention to what they do.
Good advice.
And another tip is if they ask you to, and not even if they ask you to do it, but definitely
Quick
ask
ad-libs.
you to brush up on a little bit of their company history. If you get to a point where they're gonna bring you in for an interview, whether it's on the phone or because my process was they responded back to me after I had sent my initial information out. And this was like around Memorial Day weekend. And then about 3.5 weeks later, they emailed me back saying they want to do a phone interview. So we set that up late June. And then I got into contact with the HR manager. And so then I was in correspondence with her about the application process. So from the phone conference interview, I moved on to the first in-person interview, and then I got a second in-person interview. So it was a pretty lengthy process, and that process might not be the same for everyone, but that's just to give you an idea. So, one of the very first questions they asked me is, so can you tell us a little bit about our company and what we do? And I had done my homework, and I was able to give them a pretty good description of what they do. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, we see you definitely did your homework, so that's good. So, just have that in mind as you prepare for an interview. Learn a little bit about the company that you're going to be interviewing with so that you can, at least have a conversation about that topic if they bring it up.
But like, you went too ahead, Rob. We're like,
Well,
we're still
it
at-
kind of just happened, It's organic, so we can always trace back, though.
Okay. But
So
like,
going
what-
back,
So going back
Yeah.
to the main topic at hand. So like after college, post graduation, what were your feelings and like where were you at with your mindset? What? He already went to interviewing.
I
and tips
covered
for
like the
interviewing.
whole
what
agenda
the
for the
hell?
night. in one.
Yeah,
in one-
Robin's done for the.
He's done. He already said what we were trying to get at. He went like 5 months ahead.
But it's only because it was just
Stop,
building
you're gonna
on
keep
top
going.
of.
Alright.
It was just building. It was just building
Alright,
on
so-
one top of another. So it just happened,
But tracing back now to you, Dennis. Post your grad party, where were you at with your mind? Like, okay, did you have a job post grad?
So yeah, I did have a part-time job during the last semester of college, and that turned into a job,
okay.
and it was like
So there was no fear there for you.
there was no
having to get-
fear, but like the fear was the money. Am I gonna make more money? I eventually got like a raise, but I wasn't satisfied. But it's hard because essentially that would be my dream job. But yeah, the money wasn't there, so I was feeling like kind of down, and that soon escalated to me having like like adjusting to the 9 to 5, and I was like getting depressed on that. I was like, damn, is this gonna be like the rest of my life? And then I started applying to more jobs around, and I didn't get any responses for months. And yeah, I started applying for like a whole year, and that led to me to be like, damn, am I really not that good enough to get a job?
But the job the first one that you were at, it had like free pizzas on Friday, right?
Yeah, I had pizza
That's
Fridays.
crazy.
I really do like the people. I love the people. I love the job.
So the pizza wasn't enough.
But I just needed. I don't know. I think it was just me. I just wanted to like grow as a designer even more. So.
But I think the situation that you were in was a pretty good one because you had a job, so you had that kind of security to allow yourself to look for more jobs.
Yeah.
So at least you had that fallback, that you weren't making any money at all. So that was good.
Yeah, it was just like me realizing that if is that how I'm supposed to be, like, am I not, no, at the end the feeling came down to, like, am I not good enough to find another job?
Well, I think also, yeah, I mean, definitely it sucks when it's been like 2-3+ weeks and you haven't heard anything back, and the hope that you hear back from all these companies just quickly decreases. And yeah, like you said,
then-
it's just like, am I just inept, or am I?
And then you go to, like, you go through the apps and you look for jobs, and like every day, and then you're like anxious to see if anything comes up, like any emails. Nothing comes up, but then within, I don't know, 6 months they start replying, and then all of them were like, let's have an interview. Like, not all of them, a few of them is like, let's have an interview, and then they ask questions through email, or I got denied and all that, and it's mostly like denial than, like, the interviews. But at the end of the day, I did find something eventually, and
Another thing is also,
but that was like 2 years, like a year of not doing anything. No, it's like 6 months of not doing anything, and then a year of applying. So like a year and a half of, like, after I graduated college, I got something new.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
I didn't really have the luxury of having the internship, right? And then just transitioning that into a full-time job. So
yeah, because that's what a lot of people do.
yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. But for me, I was still steady applying right after my graduation party. And I kept applying, and I got many interviews from it, but I never was able to cement the lock-in of being hired. And also at the time, my resume only had like one experience in, like, as an intern, and then the other one was that I went to a footwear academy called Pencil. So luckily, I was able to apply to a place where a former graduate alumni of ours was working at, and that she was able to get me into that job. And then from there, everything was history. But that was like I think I got hired, I'm probably guessing here, but September. So all of summer, I was just anxious every day coming back home. Well, I was home all day. But I was home every day just applying, like updating my resume, updating my cover letter. And like just that feeling when your parents like come in and they're just like, hey, anything new? And they're just like, nah.
With a smile on your face,
Yeah.
like, no, not yet.
Not yet. And then like, or they'll come the next day and they'll be like, all right, any updates? And then you say,
Not yet.
they replied, they said we'll have an interview next week. And so it's like another week. And so just, grow your connections and have that resume ready, and just the connections are so key, because that gets you into a job way quicker than having a beautiful portfolio.
It really does. It really does. But
Yeah. Then next after that, I don't know.
But yeah, like it was like a very, like, upsetting feeling after graduation when you adjust to the 9 to 5 job, because it just becomes so repetitive, and you just become like
So, what are the pros for you? College versus work life. Like for you, what are the pros and what are the cons? Just that. Just those two topics right there.
Pros, you got money. That's like the biggest pro, right?
So what's the con? Since we're on you, since you just took mad long.
I mean,
What's the con?
there's gonna be times where you just feel like you're kind of, getting lost in the tide a little bit, and maybe there might be a project that you're not the most passionate about, that nonetheless you have to work on it. And
Sometimes you're in a situation like that, but at the end of it, you have to just learn to just keep working, because that's honestly your job at the end of the day. You can't just say, I don't want to do it because I'm not passionate. You know what I mean? Like, are you caught in those scenarios as well?
well, that's another conversation for another day.
Okay.
But you just have to be optimistic at the end of the day, and hopeful that you're gonna get something. Because if you're not optimistic and you're not hopeful, you will go down a dark hole,
Yeah.
and that could be very self-destructive.
At the end of the day, it's all about personal growth. You know, you're going to a job because you want to grow your skills as a designer, but at the same time grow your, I guess, yourself in life. So like you're obviously getting an ink. Like the pros I feel is you don't have homework every day or something like that. You're not doing unnecessary things that you don't have any focus on. Like let's say your art history classes or doing random electives and stuff like that. Like you're just focused and zoned into what you hopefully wanted to do right after college. And
Now, I think
yeah.
there's always a potential to maybe feel like you're stagnating a little bit. It happens, and that's fine, But when you feel like that's approaching, don't be afraid to maybe pick up something else on the side, like on your own time, like learn something else that pertains to your career that you might not be learning in your job, because maybe that's not the nature of your specific job, but you can still do it because it might benefit your career. Like maybe learn how to code, or learn new softwares and play around with them and experiment. So while you're learning practical stuff and technical knowledge on site at the job, you might be able to further improve your conceptualizing and your maybe abstract skills, or whatever other skills that you might want to improve on your own time. Now, the challenge in that, I would say, is definitely time and energy, right? Because you get home from work, and maybe the last thing you want to do in that moment is to further commit your mental effort into more stuff, right? Because you just spent 8 or 9 hours doing that. But if you can fight through that, and maybe not every single day, give yourself a day to rest or whatever, but
That's also a huge thing that that happened.
Yeah.
Right after I graduated.
you got to give yourself
like,
time.
Like, I was just anxious to like I don't know, when I wanted to like switch over to another job. I was like I would get home from work and I would be tired of just designing, drawing, sketching. But when I went home to work, I needed to like update my portfolio, and I just
Didn't have the energy.
I just didn't have the energy to keep on sketching and doing Illustrator
it happens,
or
yeah.
Keyshot. I was just strained out.
And you just watch Netflix.
No, I just slept.
Oh, that's terrible.
And that's where it went.
That's the habit you can't get into. All right. So like, once you get into that 9 to 5 life, if your job is your life, I think I don't know, unless you're getting paid those like 6-figure type salaries, then it's not. I feel it's not worth it, because you're devoting your whole life to this job when you could be improving in other things, whether that's your portfolio, your resume, and then you can get to that job to where you want to put your whole focus on it because it's worth it at the end of it,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and that habit of I guess young designers devoting their whole life to this company and then working up to 8 o'clock every day, getting home, not even having time to do your personal hobbies, and just getting home and just sleeping, and then
That's
redoing
terrible.
the thing 5 days in a row.
No, it's a
So-
terrible.
And that's like,
That's a very toxic mindset to have.
and it's lining you up for just hating your career.
Yeah.
So
Agree
I don't
1000%.
know. Try
I think-
to find something.
I think
to-
a very exactly
And-
exactly
And
yeah.
so like how I broke out of that cycle was I started going to the gym. Well, I started going to the gym, and I actually when I graduated, within like the first 8 months, I gained 40 pounds. That's a huge jump.
I think for the first 8 months I gained about the same, 30 to 40 pounds, yeah.
So like I started to go to the gym. I started to bulk, and then I quit the gym because I saw that I was gaining weight without going to the gym, and then I went back to my sleeping schedule, and then I then went back to the gym, and that the second time I went back to the gym, that's when I started to like work on my portfolio and start applying to jobs. And when I started like doing hobbies or like activities outside of work, that's where I felt like I didn't want to, like, I felt comfortable. Like, I didn't have to go look for a job, but, like, I knew if I stay there, I'm not going to grow. So I had to force myself. Like, I know you're comfortable, Dennis. Just keep on looking. Keep on working on your portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and like a, I guess, yeah, like a mentor, Mr. Dwayne Edwards at Pencil, he said, your portfolio is always evolve. He didn't, I'm not quoting it correctly, but he basically said that your portfolio is constantly evolving. It never stops.
Exactly.
never stops.
Wholeheartedly
Updating and stuff
agree.
like that. Yeah.
Always
So
a work in progress.
keep that in mind.
Always a work in progress. And don't be
perfection
afraid
kills.
to update. Yeah, don't be afraid to continue working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't be afraid, but there has to be a time where you have to, like, force yourself to stop to submit it to companies.
Yeah, I mean, you get it to a point and you be like, okay, this is the latest and greatest iteration of my portfolio, the latest and greatest version. I'm gonna send this out to companies, knowing full well that it very well might change. It will continue to grow and change in the future. And if the future I want to apply to another job, then I'll send that version. So don't be. Determine where you need to cut off your portfolio and just send it out,
Oh, and a little pro tip, I started getting call backs or email backs from companies as soon as I didn't submit a PDF portfolio, more like a website portfolio. So, but that's like a topic for another day. I think we already had this topic in like episode 1, but nobody listens to this podcast, so it doesn't really matter.
So
So you want to wrap it up?
we should wrap it up. Let me just see where we're at. If we
Yeah,
want
another tip is also just a quick one. Find stuff that exactly. If between working on your portfolio, you might actually pick up other hobbies or passions or interests that you might be really wanting to explore. Like, for example, photography or an instrument or something that could feed into your artistic or creative pursuits, right? For example, like photography with me, it feeds into my architectural career because, photography and architecture are inherently and intricately linked. So there's this relationship between them. So find things that can help you out in other places. So, yeah.
So we're almost gonna hit 100 followers on Instagram. We're on 90.
That's awesome.
The 100th follower, we're gonna give him a scholarship. $30,000 to the school that you're going to, and you get to pick from a Kia Soul or Ferrari. But yeah, I guess we have no post for this podcast due to the fact that we recorded 3 days ago, and we basically already talked about them. But next week we are gonna have posts, hopefully. So yeah, you guys want to see something to
wrap it up?
wrap it up? Do you guys want to do the intro? I mean the outro.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. If you did listen up to this point, please comment below. Tell us your favorite part. I mean, there's only 2 topics we talked about, but appreciate the follow, the likes, and make sure to use our hashtag Creators Blueprint. Follow us on everything: Spotify, iTunes, Tidal. We're not on Tidal yet, but maybe eventually. And also on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you for listening. Episode 14. Out.
Don't do drugs. Take care. Stay golden. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Peace.